Hi guys, welcome back. Okay, so today's video is all about decorating our panel. So the first thing I thought of doing is adding a crocheted element to the center there. I thought, well, that would work quite well. I've got a few different ones here in my little tray. I've got a little tray of just crocheted bits and pieces that I just, there's two trays in this little stack thing. So I've certainly got a couple we could audition. Just getting those right colours. That one there was my first instinct. I think I like it because it's got the squareness about it, so it sort of feels like it fits with the piece. So I think that's the first thing we will stitch down. Then it's just a case of layering it down and adding stitches and beads and sort of, I don't know, you sort of, I think, got to forget about the fabric, so to speak, and just go for it again. And it's all about getting those extra details on. So the first thing I'll do is we'll get this little guy stitched down, which shouldn't take too long. Then we might start playing with some of these laces and trims and bits and pieces. So it's quite fun. Won't take long to get this little element stitched in. Then I've got just off of camera my lace container. I've got some pieces of ribbon that I thought sort of suit, that I can see at arm's reach, like endless possibilities. Definitely want to have a play with some of this Steph Francis yarn, finding a colour that best complements my piece. And I think the secret is not to overthink it, to be honest. I might just bring my needle up to the side here and maybe pull out a piece. I think they're connected, if I remember rightly from yesterday. I sort of finished filming and then walked out the door. How's this all work? I think it's a variegated thread actually, so I need to find that knot. I'll need to wind all these bits and pieces, to be honest, onto a bobbin. Let me grab one. They're right behind me. These bobbins I buy by the pack. I think there's like 40, 50 in a pack. Like so. They're not cheap, but geez, they're good. So when you do have something like this, you've got a bobbin that you can use to... Oh, now I've lost the end. To get some law and order. I should have probably done that before I started the video, but you know, I never think ahead of myself like that. It's a very pretty thread. It's a variegated one. So I've got a couple options. We could couch it down. What if we do, I do have a needle coming up there, which is not going to be suitable. So I might just end that off because I'm thinking I might have a go at doing some stitching with it. I don't know. It's like a blank canvas and I'm not sure which way to proceed. I need a needle that's quite thick that can handle that thread. It's got a bit of yellow and blue variegation in it. Little knot. Now if it's blues and things, I might... Where are we going to start? I might start here. And, oh goodness me, see that fusible webbing? Oh, it's a joy. Gee, I wouldn't want to be doing a whole quilt, let me just say. So I'm just doing a feather stitch. Well, I don't know if it's actually feather stitch. Feather stitch tends to kick from side to side. Oh, I'd have to look it up. I haven't done this stitch for a little while, so it's sort of not top of mind. I think it is feather stitch, but I don't know. Someone will know that's watching. You just can't keep track of all these things. I'm flat out getting my stem stitch and my satin stitch straight, and they're blooming different. So there we go. This is going to be really pleasant, pulling a big shaft of a needle. It's like a crowbar, this needle, through the work. But it'll be worth it. It's only a little piece, Corrine, so stop your whinging and just get on with it. I might dig out one of those crazy quilt patchwork books. You know, the ones where they piece fabric and then do decorative stitches all over it? That might give me some ideas. Now, I guess the question is, do I follow the chevron, or it's not a chevron, do I follow the pattern, or do I make my own pattern? As in, I'm now at the point here where we're turning, or like, do we keep going through here, or do we turn and come down here? I don't know. I don't know. What are the rules? Are there rules? Probably not. Or do I pick up somewhere here and carry on? See, the other thing they were doing is they were laying additional fabrics in as well and catching them down. Goodness, decisions. I might scoot up here, catch that fabric. Is the fabric long enough? Like, slow down, girl. I could probably do with a longer piece of that pink. It's all my little leftover bits. Was there a pink in there? No, but there is this shiny. I guess the question is, do you want to follow the shape, or do you want to go on your own direction, like come up through here? I think I'm going to go up through there. I think if I don't, and I might just lay that piece of fabric there for, you know, whatever reason. It's sort of going to soften a line, because at the moment it's very, you know, this way. We want to soften those lines. We want to blur. Hang on a minute. Let's just do that again. We've got black fabric here poking through, so let's get rid of that. No one will ever know it was there. And let's put that piece of fabric right through. Okay. Now I'm feeling the groove, and we'll pick up our needle and thread, and I'm going to continue this stitch right through. Oh, goodness me. Whose idea was this project? That fusible webbing. I don't even think I would have needed it, you know, because I could have invisible stitched down the you know, the piece, or the pieces. So there's a hot tip. If you're not wanting to have that friction of pulling your thread through all of the layers, it's the glue that does it. It just, you go and throw a big needle into it, A nice little sharp needle probably would be okay. You wouldn't have the issue. But you could invisible stitch. Wow, now see, I've jiggered it up because I'm not concentrating. See, I don't even like that stitch. I'm going to pull it out. I might even just do a running stitch like it's coming through there like that. I'll do a couple more. Keep it nice and straight. And then have a look at it, and I might just do like a running stitch the rest of the way so it looks like a little sprig from a plant. I like the shimmer on that thread. Steph Francis has a great range of unusual threads. I believe she's in the UK from memory. Do I keep going or do I couch that? Could probably couch it. And then I could put little beads up that side, like the endless possibilities. I think the secret to it is forget about the shape that's in the background. It's now just a background. I think that's going to be quite liberating. I might just do a stitch back on itself to hold it. That's it. I'll end that off. See where there's no fusible webbing, it's really good. So it's just that thick needle through. So I'll hang on to that because I've still got a little bit of thread there. Let's get our little needle up. And I'm going to just put a few couched stitches down the stem of that little embroidery. Yeah, see, that's sliding through really well. And in the process, we're catching down a little bit of that organza that I put through. I think I'll do a little bit more organza. It's ombre, so it sort of changes colours through the organza, and I think it'll help soften the whole piece a little bit. There we go. That'll just stop that from getting caught on something. Now I did want to put a piece of tatting. It'll take a bit to stitch that down, but I think it'll be worth the effort. Yeah, I'm going to stitch all that down. It'll take a while, but I'll pin it for now and get that tatting piece through there. So it's like now I'm just embellishing, I guess. If I have it pinned there, so it's sort of come a bit undone. I think that little bobble at the top's got a twist. It's a picot, but it's become untwisted due to wear and tear on that little doily. Okay. I can hear a kookaburra. That classic laugh they have. There we go. So that's pinned on, so we can see how that sort of comes together. What else can we add? What else was I looking at? See, she was adding fibres too, like that. But I need probably something other than white. But then I don't mind it. No, it's too stark. I don't like that. What else have we got over here? Let's have a look at this chenille that's in this little mess. There's ribbon. Oh my goodness. I think the moment I finish with you guys on this video, I'm going to wind it onto the card. That'll be my first job, because this is going to get a hang of a mess really quickly. I don't know if that helped what I was looking for. It's got a bit frayed there, so that must be the knot of the chenille. Yeah, it is. Let's get that out. Let's have a look at some of those fibres coming through. Maybe we double it so we get a bit of thickness. Make it worth our while. Yeah, I like that. So I'm sort of creating a bit of a pinwheel effect, to be honest, is how it sort of feels like it's coming together, and it just keeps laying over each other. I'll do a bit of pinning just to get a feel for how it will come together. And I think this is another time that I might cut a little bit of this again. I like the softness that it gives. Gosh, you could spend hours on these panels. My goodness. You can now appreciate the work that's gone into the pieces. I think I like the effect of that being laid down and then everything decorative on top. So there's something that I think I'm going to do. I'm going to go through and I'll lift that tatting up and lay that piece through. Same there again. I'll lift the chenille up and lay the piece through. So, okay, I'm going to cross lay over everything some more of these sheer fabrics. So therefore that tatting would come off and this. So it's all about getting your layers right, I think, for the look you sort of like. So I think, if anything, these threads are putting the horse before the cart. I like the softness that this is giving me. And it's helping to blend. I'm going to take that tatting off, guys. I think you get the general gist of what I will do with the tatting. It'll definitely make a line somewhere. I think I'm just going to start laying a little bit more fabric. So you see this little bit here? That can go up there. And then I might do a bit more stitching, like the feather stitch, because you could just about do a heap of feather stitch everywhere. Different colours, like pick one stitch, keep it, you know, uniformed, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Here's a little bit more. It's a white. You could use net lace Don't know if I've got any handy. But remember, I've got a needle attached here. I might end it off like, gee girl, finish what you're doing before you start something else. So I think my next stage will be more fabric. Lay in more of this sheer fabric, so therefore it's muting sections of my piece to add a little bit more texture. And I do that before I start laying in the decorative pieces, which is the lace, the tatting and things like that. So that goes through there. Let's put that over there. It's going to soften it a lot, which I sort of like the look of. And I'm going to just put some little invisible stitches through. I could even do some more running stitch, but in a different colour as well. What would it look like if I... Ooh. Let's have a little look at this. What if I use the gold thread, but in a running stitch over all of the shears? So we're still working on the background scenario. We still haven't got real decorative. Oh, there's that big needle. Oh, this is going to be pleasant. See, that slid through quite good because the thread is probably less in size or diameter than the needle. So the needle, once it gets through, if I didn't have that fusible webbing in there, I would probably do a little bit more fancy work with this gold thread, like do a open chain stitch or something like that. But because this is tough going, I think I'm just going to do the bare basics, because all it's going to do is hurt my fingers. So that's, I like that. That's a plan. I could probably put a couple rows there because I've got a mess. And who's to say then you couldn't embroider some flowers over the whole lot? You know, at the end of the day, it's just a background like any other background. Oh, I like that, popping that little bit of gold. There is no way on this earth I would do a quilt of this. Just saying, a little patch as a play on the side of a bag is plenty. That is a big stitch. I think I'm getting it. Oh, I think I'm getting it. I think you've got to forget about your little squares underneath, and you've just got to start laying again, but thinking about your whole piece. I think that's the secret to it. But look, you could do whatever you want. So before I start adding all of these little decorative bits, I need to now stitch down all of this soft tulle. Well, it's not tulle, it's chiffon. I need to probably go and get myself a couple more bits. I think I've used everything. And I'm going to stitch it down with this gold thread, which is going to bring a little bit of bling into my project. And due to the width, this one will get 3 rows. The next one might be finer and only get 1 row or 2 rows. Yep, I like that. So I can end that off. Oops. Okay, so we're getting a bit of a plan. We've got a overlay of the chiffon. Here's another little piece. I reckon I can get that somewhere. As long as it hangs over the sides a little. So I like how it's softened some of those harsher prints. So let's get that pinned on. So that will have the gold thread treatment, running stitch to hold it down. I could do with a little bit of chiffon through here. Oh, there's some there already. No, that's all right. Then, see, there's that ribbon. This has been looking at me too. I feel like this could be of use. It's really, really pretty. Little pieces of ribbon going through. But then you've got to ask yourself the question, how are you going to stitch it on? If you do invisible stitch, you would probably see it. You could, I could do the feather stitch over that and sort of couch it down. I could do little X's over it, like little crosses. I'll cut the piece off and I'm just going to pin it there for now, and then I can think about it. I'm just not sure how I'll treat that ribbon. Satin ribbon can be a bit finicky, but I do like the little shimmer there. And I guess depending on what I do to it will depend on whether it pops up somewhere else. Now I did pick up this lace, but sort of, it's a bit old-fashioned. Let me dig a little deeper. Gee, I've got a mess on this table. So I've got laces like that. I don't mind those little elements, but it's very white. No. I sort of want that creamy tone, the gold and the cream. I don't want it to look boxy either, so we've got to find that balance between it all. I don't know. Ah, my goodness, this could take hours. But I'm pretty confident I got a bit of a system, and I think some of these threads couched through will really make it pop. Just thin little lines. See how that just puts that little element through the piece, and we turn a corner and come through like that. Yeah, I think I'm getting it. So, because I don't want pins everywhere, I'm going to just, now I really need to do the gold, don't I? I'm going to just run a few little stitches. No one will ever know they're there. By the time this is all embellished, and then I can get rid of the pins. I don't know, I find pins distracting. I don't know about you, but not only do they hurt, but I do find them distracting. I think I'll just take a combination of all sorts of bits and pieces to the lounge and just see what happens. Try not to overthink it too much. Gee, that's not easy, is it? Maybe I've got to not apply the logic of working each piece exactly the same. Or maybe I've got to be a bit freer with my thinking. Oh, I I do like the sheer. It has softened the whole piece. It's made it quite interesting. And it's now all going to stay in position because I've got these little stitches everywhere. This needle's going through the surface really well, so this is not going to hurt my fingers to any great degree. I'm just scooting up here to catch this little piece. It's quite an interesting little project, isn't it? Sorry, I've gone quiet. I'm thinking what other combinations could one use? I wonder if the book I'm thinking about is handy. So now that that's couched down or invisible stitched down, I can trim that back and just sort of see how my piece is going. Yeah. I might just see if I can see the book I'm thinking about. Just hang for a moment, guys. It is close because I did see it the other day. Where are you? Creative Stitches, Crazy Patchwork. There it is. All right. I'm just going to move 20 things to get it. Please do not fall. Oh. Sorry, guys. Here we go. I got it. Have a look at this. This book has been in my stash forever. I love Hazel's work. This sort of reminds me of this type of work. Now, I won't be going crazy like this because that fusible webbing underneath is just too much. Where are some good photos? But there might be something here that catches my eyes, like little possibilities to do, like these types of things where you get some little lacy bits and then just do some pistol stitches. Let me zoom in. See what I mean? Things like that. That's pretty simple, especially with some tatting, but then putting a stitch in between. But then she's put a little bead line as well. Whether this project lends itself as easy as, you know, these are particular squares. I've got a prompt coming up with Susanna's project that is Crazy Patchwork. So I plan on really digging into this book and finally having a bit of a play with it. Like, look at that. So it's not really what we're doing, but see how she's created a plant coming out, like a flower coming out from it, thinking past that space, and that space. I think I could apply that theory to this as well. I just don't know. Something to think about, definitely. Okay, so where were we? I just want to get couched down this organza so that I can get rid of some pins. Then I'll do the gold thread. Then I'll start playing with some of these threads and doing some random lines and stitches, and I sort of feel like I'm creating a bit of a whirlpool. You know, everything's there's movement here in the piece, which is interesting. Like a black hole. The black hole of needlework. I just want to put a couple little stitches up here. I just feel like that's not as secure. See, that's why you want pins gone. You could spend a minute chasing a pin around. You can see why this is really suited to the Indian style fabrics and sari silk and bling, and like it just is beautiful the way it all comes together. Okay, so I'm just going to move over here. Well, I guess it'll be hours of work. It'll be a surprise when I come back and show you how it all ended up. But I think we've got a bit of a plan at least. Well, do I? Do I have a plan? I might even get a couple of my embroidery books out, and maybe I do a bit of a feature embroidery with beads and pearls. I don't know. The possibilities are endless. I'll at least get this stitched down. Get rid of these pins. Let me know in the comments if any of you are having a go at a little patch. I think there's only one little patch in my existence, because this is going to take hours and hours. The good thing is it won't be attached to the bag until I'm ready to, you know, pull the whole project together. So I might find that I add more things to it once I get a bit of a feel for how the project's going to come together, the overall look of the bag. It's going to be quite interesting. It'd be nice to have an example of it anyway in my room. See, then you could, once you get some embroidery on, you start looking at the beads. And you start getting then a three-dimensional feel to the piece. Gee, it's unlimited what you could do with this. Let alone a feature element, like a flower or something. Okay, so I stitched down that line so I can remove those guys. I've stitched down that one so I can remove that guy. So that's got rid of a heap of pins. So once again, just trim off the excess and then start another layer of something, whether it be stitch or thread. Where's my fabric scissors? I'm really making a hash of that. So it's given a completely different look to my piece again. Amazing. It's like softened everything by running that little bit of tulle. Oh, it's not tulle. It's not organza. I said it before, chiffon. Variegated chiffon. So now I'd go back with the gold thread and do a little bit of gold thread through. Okay guys, well, I'm going to leave it at that. This is going to be quite an endeavour, I think. I'll take all these little bits and bobs with me to my couch and just see what comes of it all. I keep going back to this piece of lace. Maybe it can tuck in. It's so stark. Maybe I can... See, maybe I've got to look at pushing it in under somewhere. Oh my goodness, like the possibilities. I see I've got a piece of organza there. It's not organza, chiffon. So maybe I tuck in that lace so it's not so stark and we just get a little peek of it coming through. Get it underneath that sari silk. Goodness me. See, that's good. I like that. That's broken it up. It's not such a harsh thing now. So let's chop that off. There we go. It's in. And then you got to start thinking, well, then I stitch over that with something. Like, oh, goodness me. Oh, my goodness. This is just like a, I don't know. It's full on. Absolutely full on. You could have so much fun with this. Oh, goodness. I'm just looking at all my bits and pieces on my desk and the things you could add to it. All right. I need to leave it at that. Go and have a bit of a play. I've certainly got enough elements. If I bring anything else in, like what is that? Little flowers. Oh, for goodness sakes. If I bring anything else in, it's just going to get muddled in my brain. I definitely don't need these fabrics anymore, so I think that they can go away in my scrap bucket. Actually, I probably need to keep them close at hand because if I do this project again, like another panel, these might come to play. So I will keep them. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. All right, I'm going to leave it at that, and I will see you all with a bit of an update on what came to be. I think I got a bit of a start anyway. So there's a bit of pink I've just spotted over here. It's a dyed piece of lace. So you start looking at what you can do. No, stop it. Oh, goodness me. All right, guys, look after yourselves, and I'll see you. Actually, no, I'll come back in a few minutes, and a day or so may have passed, and I'll show you where it's at. That'll give me plenty of time to have a bit of a play, and we'll just see how far it goes. All right, guys, bye for now. Hi, guys. I'm back. I have completed my base. There is literally hours of work there. I was quite surprised at just how long it took to sort of work out what I was going to do next after I did a line of something. It's not so much the stitching. That was pretty quick. It's deciding where to lay the next piece. What I mean by that is, say I did the pink ribbon, then I decided I was going to do another pink ribbon. Then I was like, well, does it need more pink ribbon? Is that balanced? So then I put a little piece over here, and I felt like then it needed a piece here. And then I was like, enough with the pink ribbon. So then I started picking up other elements. It's like, is it just one of them or multiple pieces of them? The other one I was using a fair bit of was this ribbon here, but it's like a woven little ribbon. So a piece went here, then a piece went here. Then I started thinking about fly stitch. I've got green fly stitch in amongst it, which is very subtle. You can probably just see it there. I've got fly stitch over all of the pink ribbon, and then I've used the pearlized thread that was part of the Steph Francis and did some fly stitch there and there. And then once you get those two, do you need another one over here? Like it was just endless. I was quite surprised at just how much energy and thought goes into something like this. It was quite interesting. And it's about, when you look at it on the whole, does it look balanced? Does it look finished? And I think it does. I think I'm happy. This piece here and that piece of tatting, I think I only needed just a hint of that, where the pink ribbon and the little pink variegated cord ribbon was sort of repeated a few times, and I think it sort of handled the piece there. And then there's the fly stitch, which was the common element, but in different types of textures. A thicker cord, a thinner cord, 3 different colours. Like, maybe I'm overthinking it, and I probably am. The gold thread then was popping up, and when I thought I'd finished, I started working gold thread in around through the centre because it felt like I had gold out on the perimeter, but not drifting through the whole piece. And I still think I could run a little bit of gold thread through here, and you know, oh, I don't know. It was quite an experience. Would I do a quilt doing this? No way in hang. I think it would take 8 years of my life to finish it, because it's so absorbing, and once you get into it, it's so much fun. I don't think I'd get any other projects done. But for a sample, just to experience it, do it. Find something where you can just create a little panel, and being that I can use this as a side on my Japanese rice bag, I think it's well worth the play. So thank you to all the ladies that are making this style of scrappy quilting and then dragging it into the slow stitch world, because I think it's great. Most of us have all had a bit of a quilting background, because that was sort of the transition from embroidery into quilting that got you into fabrics, and now we're sort of mushing all of those industries together, even cross stitch, and there's just so many independent little industries that we all grew up learning, and slow stitch is just bringing it all together, and it's just great. The only thing that I want to have a play with before I call this piece finished is I want to have a look at some beads on it. So I've threaded up. Whether I can decide where to put them, we've got 20 minutes and I've already wasted 4 minutes. Yibby yabbering. Is it a case of they get added to something to highlight it? Is it a line of beads? Do I need beads? See, this is the problem. You start spinning the piece around. Oh, my goodness me. What have you done to me, girls? Sonia, it's your fault. I saw it first with you, and then down the rabbit hole I went. I really want to have a play with crazy. I'm going to go here. There's a piece of ribbon here that's been couched down. Do I need a bead to sit next to it? Oh, I don't know. You could seriously waste hours. It's not waste, that's not what I mean, but you know what I mean. You know, some projects you just go into and it's just, does it come together easily for me, this type of thing? It didn't. Now my needles, that's a sign. My needle is too thick. I can't find my really fine bead needle. There we go. I just sort of feel like I want that little bit of sparkle, and the reason I want to work a few beads in somewhere is some of the other panels for this project are starting to percolate in the back of my mind. I'm not going to do them, you know, straight away. This series will probably be a bit of a pre-recorded, when I think of something I'll add it type of series. I'm not sure where it's going to go, but I think some of the other panels may be sort of like a flower garden, and then I will work in all of these fabrics and trims into just a completely different design, but I'm not sure. The ideas are percolating. Oh no, I do like that bead. I've just got to find a bead that goes down the needle, or do I stop for a moment and actually look for a beading needle, which I know is in here, but the little, is that it? There it is. The little sucker's so fine to see that when I look across the top of the pincushion, well, I'm often looking down the top of the needle, so I just don't see it. Yeah, so what's my other findings on this little project? Oh, I know what I wanted to mention. If you recall, I used, or you will recall because you're still watching the same video, see quite a few days have gone by since I've come back to actually record this last little bit. I use the fusible webbing between my little panels and the backing fabric. I wouldn't do that again on this type of project because I don't think it's needed. There is that much stitching and layering of textures and trims, and that I don't think I would do it again, because it's just another layer for my hands to push a needle through. If you were doing a bigger project like a quilt, for sure, you don't want your straggly little corners popping up because you're moving your quilt from couch to couch and, you know, cleaning quilts, and definitely you would need you'd need to put your fusible webbing in, just for the security of the piece, the longevity of the piece. But for this little bag, I don't need it. And I think if I ever did a side that I was considering doing it, I probably wouldn't, because invisible stitch for me, you know, an hour of invisible stitching, working my way through, even if it's every centimetre, you know, every inch is worth pinning the piece down, especially if I know that there's then going to be a good quantity of embroidery. And there were little areas through that were popping up, so I just did some little stitches just to make sure it just all moulded together. The webbing obviously didn't catch that particular little spot, so I just, yeah, added some stitches. I guess at the end of the day, I'm a hand sewer, so to spend an hour stitching something down for me is just part of the pleasure of it. You know, it's not an annoying process for me. It's part of time out for me to think about the project. That's why I like invisible stitch so much. I can just sew away doing what I love, but at the same time be thinking about an area down here and what I would do. It sort of gives me a chance to slow my brain down. Does that make sense? So these little beads are going to be fantastic. I'm really happy with that. So there's going to be little pink beads just spotted along some of the rows, just to give it a little bit of shimmer. Now you'll mention, no, you didn't mention, I mentioned Crazy Patchwork and that book that I was flipping through. I'm thinking one of my sides will be a project focused on Crazy Patchwork, because we're sort of in that, I think, very close to that style of work. Now, I think I mentioned I've got a Susanna Vintage Blend Studios collaboration where she's doing a vintage sewing techniques, and one of the months right near the end is Crazy Patchwork. Now, for me, Crazy Patchwork is most beautiful when it's all of these colours. And the project I'm doing showcasing Susanna's different prompts is more of a grungy blues and Tim Holtz style project. It's a journal. So Crazy Patchwork for me in that sort of, I don't know if I can pull it together. In my head, it's more these colours. So I'm still thinking about Susanna's project, but I might pull the prompt from that project and actually do it on this bag, because I'm thinking it's probably more suited. Then I can get really florally and pretty with lots of little embroidery pieces and beads and things. The Susanna collaboration, it sort of doesn't quite feel like it would fit. You can hear Pepper and Bandit barking in the background. They're goosing around. They've had their breakfast and now they're being silly pups playing. Have I got Susanna's project nearby? I think I do. I haven't looked at it for a little while. It's sort of, I filmed a few episodes in advance and then I've put it away, and I know that I've got probably 3 prompts left to go, but that's sort of later in the year. Let me grab the book. Okay, here it is here. See what I mean by the colour scheme? I just don't know if this colour scheme, so these are some pieces that I've got from different elements, and I'm thinking, oh, I might be able to use it in Susanna's. Let me just put the lid on the beads before the beads go flying. Talk about, it's taken me ages to turn the video on this morning because I'm just sidetracked. I don't know what's going on. So I've got a heap of ideas in my head and I need to just stop. So this project, that's like a background I did that might work in here, but I don't think it will because of the colours. So colours, very interesting. So let's get to this. Maybe this would be better with that. See what I mean? I think those two need to find a home together. Yeah, all right. I made that background when I was on the cruise. I just had some scraps of fabric and I was sitting watching some show. The light was good, so I just pulled out some fabric and stitched it down. I could probably, I'm very close to the size, I could cut through there and that would give me a background for another block. Yeah, we're going to do that. Okay, that's just, okay. Goodness me. Oh dear. So whenever I've got these random things that don't have a home, when I'm on a big project like Susanna's, I've just thrown them in here as a possibility of joining the party. I guess it's a way of tidying up my room too, because you see these random things sitting around and you're like, I must use it. I really want to use it. This too is one of those random pieces of ribbon embroidery. Now Susanna has a ribbon embroidery prompt coming up. So I had thought maybe I could use this as my base and then build upon it. Anyway, how off a tangent I've got. So see what I mean by this project? For me, that crazy patchwork sort of doesn't quite fit it. Maybe it does, but I'm sort of feeling this is more of a earthy, grungy tone. So yeah, I'm thinking, if you're watching Susanna, I'm thinking that this project, the prompt for crazy patchwork, will go down towards these colour schemes. I hope you don't mind, Susanna. That's the book. Yeah, so it's very much a whole different feel for me. Even though that's quite grungy, the pinks, the greens and that. Probably grungy is not the right word. But anyway. All right, guys. I'm going to definitely run beads through this. Lost my needle and thread. Just to put that little bit of sparkle. I don't have many minutes left. But I think this is going to be very pretty to pop the beads through. So when I come back with the next part of the series, it'll be part 3. We'll be working on a brand new panel. We will be coming up with a brand new idea. I have a feeling that this panel here will be part of it. I really, really, really do. And I'm wondering if I can cut that down and use it for 2 different sides of the bag. I had visions of doing an embroidery across it, you know, making a little piece. But I'm thinking it could easily join this project. The colours are just gorgeous for it. So sometimes it pays, if you don't feel like you've got anything in your mind to do in particular, just create some backgrounds. Just lay down some of your favourite colours, create a little panel, invisible stitch it down, maybe do a few little highlight stitches. Well, I haven't even got to that stage with that little panel. I've just invisible stitched down a heap of scraps that I had in a basket that was with me. Bit of lace, bit of chiffon, bit of cheesecloth. There's still pins in there of where I haven't stitched. So you never know when you'll see it again in your craft room and go, oh, I've been thinking about this since I've watched a video or got a bit of an idea, and you've got a little background that'll focus your mind and get you going onto the top part of the stitching, the decorative side of things. And you will find that when you make these backgrounds, they will be in the style that you tend towards anyway. So even if you pick it up in 6 months' time, it's sort of you. You tend to sort of meander around a style. Even if it's 3 or 4 different styles, you might be someone who loves brights, but then there might be shabby chic projects, or you might just be shabby chic. You might be red, antique reds and things like that, but every so often other colour combinations pop up. That's me anyway. I tend to drift across a few different genres, not so much genres, colour schemes. Okay, that's the last little bead. All right, guys, we're coming up to that 19 minutes, so that video will be plenty big enough for Mr. YouTube. So I'll just knot this off. I will endeavour to stitch some more beads on this piece because I think that'll be just the sprinkling on the cupcake. Where are they? I've lost them already. There they are. So they're just across there. Let me bring that up to the camera. So it's going to add just that little bit of sparkle. So yeah, beads, beads, beads. Look like they're on the horizon. See what I mean? If you were to do a quilt, oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for joining me, everyone. See you in the next video to do with this rice bag, and I have a distinct feeling that there is going to be my next panel, and that little morsel will become something else somewhere else, probably on another side of the bag, but it certainly works. What's the odds of that? I open up a project that I'm working on, like, that works, a treat. This little bird too. See, I should be saying goodbye, but here we go. That little bird, I really feel like that needs to join somehow. Anyway, for goodness sakes. All right, guys, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now.